You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 10th day of December, 2019. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. If you can't see my screen, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will give you one-click access to the show each and every day. On the days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, not to worry. Point any internet-connected browser to cfrn.net/live. There you will find a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it unfolds, brought to you by the good folks at YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. All right, I'm going to go straight to the numbers today from around the world. Okay, these are the cash markets. I'm going to start here in the U.S. Let me grab some fresh data. The freshest for the bestest. That's you. The Dow currently down 11 points. NASDAQ up 11. S&P at the flat line. And the Russell 2000 up 3. In the commodity basket, crude oil at 15 cents, trading 59.17 last. Gold up $3.50, trading 14.6840 last. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei posted a loss of 20 points, Shanghai gained almost 3, and the Hang Seng dropped 58. Last but not least, in the European markets, FTSE posted a loss of 20 points, DAX lost 34, the CAC gained 10. 2 days back to back, we really don't have a mover or a shaker in the whole bunch. The fact that this morning, prior to the Wall Street Open, and if this wasn't carefully orchestrated, forgive me, but immediately preceding the Wall Street Open, Nancy Pelosi and company lowered the boom and announced to the world that yes, President Donald Trump is a scoundrel and he must be impeached. Now, the economy is one thing, stock market is another thing, and the man in the street, well, that's another animal altogether. There was a brief hiccup at the open as the market digested this information that the President of the United States of America may very well be guilty of high crimes and or misdemeanors. I guess that's like a parking ticket, I don't know. But the real deal is this: the economy, the markets, and the man in the street said, we don't care. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let's go to Michael. Get a recap of everything that happened in the live training room this morning. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I was only there for a brief moment, so I don't know if it was good, bad, or ugly, but Michael's about to tell us. If you are ready, Michael. That is the official Michael, that's the official Dwayne, I'm not ready yet signal that Michael and I agreed upon some years ago. So let me do this. Valerie was just kind enough to send my way a recap of what has happened so far this week with Logic 247. Let me share that with you. Now, Logic, we have two alert services. Logic 247, that is our logical E-mini alert service, where we deliver to you, the trader, live, real-time alerts starting Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern, right up through Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. These are real-time, in-the-moment alerts as opportunity develops. Could be 2 a.m., could be 2 p.m. You see, when you trade Emini Futures, the clock on the wall is always price. So when opportunity does develop, we will bring it right to your desktop, to your tablet, to your smartphone, wherever it is that you happen to be on planet Earth. If you have an internet connection, you'll know when opportunity develops. Bill B says he can't see him. Bill, I haven't put anything up, but I'm going to tell you all about it. Let me do this and this so that I can, in fact, show you exactly what I'm talking about. There we go. We are in week 71. We've had 24 alerts so far this week. 4 never triggered, 1 on the clock, 1 waiting. That gives us 18 actionable alerts. 4 of those have been stopped out. So this week so far on a Tuesday, 22% of actionable alerts have been stopped out. Over the last 71 weeks, what we've averaged is 20%. We've had weeks as high as 30%, I think, being stopped out, and we've had weeks of 0 being stopped out, but the average, 20%. Now let me just show you what this week's alerts look like as we await Michael's arrival. He had no idea I was going to jump straight to him this morning.
I'm here. No, I did not know that.
No, he didn't know.
But
Okay, so while I'm on this train of thought, let me just go ahead and wrap this. Here we go. Okay, last week, week 70, 11% of actionable alerts were stopped out. We had 35 actionable alerts for the week. This week, week 71, we started out with the S&P Sunday night, stopped out. In Q, thumbs up means price got to the target. There's a long on crude, a long on the Dow, no trigger on this gold alert. Long on the S&P, there's a stop out on crude. There's a gold that never triggered. In Q, long. Russell, long. This one, crude oil, long. Here's a carryover that just still never triggered. Another carryover, this one found the target, that would be soybeans. And another carryover, stopped out, that is the euro. Carryover number 4, that would be the British pound, no trigger. And let's see, this would be the Australian dollar, stopped out. And then we had a short on the S&P, short on the Dow, short on the Russell, long on gold, short on the NQ, long on crude. Now that's up through yesterday. And then today, December the 10th, so far, we have one still working. We have a long on crude that found its target. And we got one that's on the clock. Okay, Michael, it does it for me for now.
Okay.
It's all yours, and I'll endeavor to do my very best to be standing here when you go, you know, that thing you do.
Yeah.
The park and
finish.
all that, and overlooking, and, you know, the good stuff.
Here we go.
Here we go. Rock and roll. All right, be back in a few, or I'll see you in a few.
All right. All right. Sounds good. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 10th day of December, 2019. If you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go to the home page at CFRN.net. And in the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net. Click on that, and you will be brought to this page where all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Click on Register Now. Once you click Register Now, you'll be sent a confirmation link, and you must click on the confirmation link. All right, if you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. Now, back to the spreadsheet. That is over here. There it is. Okay. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you're going to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 10th day of December, 2019. Today we made 7 ticks in crude, 3 ticks in gold, 2 ticks on the ES. That put us at plus 125 on the morning session. Something is messed up with this number. I think this is too low. But anyway, today it took 111 minutes and 5 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $105 a contract, and we took a total of 6 trades. That puts us at 632 on the month. That's over 7 days. On the year now, we're at $34,467. That's over 224 days. That's averaging $153 per day. Now that is one contract, 2 hours per day, with a whole bunch of distractions. So you should be doing better than that. Okay. Okay. Now, let's get into it. The markets, again, we're a mess today. And we have big news tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, we have FOMC coming out. But anyway, our first trade in gold was right here. We picked up 1 tick. We missed that momentum short right there. Then over here, we picked up 2 more ticks to put us at plus 3 on the day. Since then, it has done absolutely nothing. Okay. And the euro, again, nothing on the euro. It was just a mess. There was 1 trade opportunity right here that I missed. And even if I had gotten it, I'd have moved my stop to break even right here. And it probably would have gotten taken out of break even right here. Since then, there's been nothing. Okay. On the crude, let's scroll back here. Take a look. I missed this first opportunity right here on the crude. That was right at 10 o'clock. It was starting back here at 9:30. Looks like there was a shorting opportunity right there that I didn't do. And a long opportunity right there that I missed. Then I got a break even. Then I got plus 3. And then it just got really choppy. And see, if you're doing the 164s, the 137s, the 128s, there was some opportunity in here. But if you're not doing any of those trade setups and you're just doing the 2 in the room in the morning, then, well, the opportunity was limited. And then we picked up this right here, these 4 ticks at the end of the session. And that's what we needed to get to the goal for the day. So since then, there has been nothing on the crude. Now, on the ES, I mean, just look at the ES. Look at that. That weekly trading zone is just a magnet for it. And we missed the first trade right here, which would have been a break-even trade. And we grabbed 2 ticks on this one right here. Okay, then it ran up into the zone. And once it got to the zone, it was just a magnet. And, you know, apparently there's some kind of talks going on right now between the US and Canada. And that's what's causing the market to be the way that it is. And tomorrow, well, I will just show you. Tomorrow, these are all the big news events tomorrow. Pre-market, we have CPI, core CPI. Then we have crude inventories. Then at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we have FOMC, projection statement, funds rate, budget balance, and then at 2:30 they're going to have a press conference. So, a big deal tomorrow. I mean, we had like no news up until, well, between today and yesterday, and Friday, I think. It was, well, very limited news. And you know what? Let me bring that back up. I need that one. Okay. So on the spreadsheet, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you could read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. So far on the month, we're at $632. That's over 7 days, averaging $90 a day. That is one contract, 2 hours a day. And I'm distracted all the time. So you should be able to do better than that. On the year, we're at $34,467. That's over 224 days, averaging 153 per day. 153 per day. Okay, now let's go here. If you have not taken a free trial with us and you want to take a free trial with us, go to the home page at CFRN.net. In the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial apply.CFRN.net. If you click on that, you'll be brought to this page, EminiTradingSchool.com. On this page, all we ask for is your name, your email, your phone number. You hit the register now, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click on the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. You can go directly to this page as well, EminiTradingSchool.com. Or you can go to it through our main website, apply.CFRN.net right here. Okay. Okay. And with that, we can pass it back out. Fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready. Okay.
Hey. Okie doke. Recap of the recap.
Today, it took 111 minutes and 5 trades to get to $105 a contract.
That's a good bingo.
It is. It's got the goal.
We don't endorse gambling, but it's still a good bingo. Man, people... I think I mentioned I went Friday night to Ann Helen's birthday party, and it was at the something Italian club. It's a full-on restaurant and bar, but it's a private club. You have to be a member. I'm guessing you got to be Italian, but I don't even know if that's legal in our current climate. But they have bocce ball, which some of you might know is, something that folks in Italy play a lot, I guess. And certain members of the family who retire to places like Tucson, I think they play a lot of bocce ball. That's a Goodfellas reference. Now, they also had a bingo parlor. I said it. And those folks, now, I don't just mean Italian folks, I just mean folks in general. If you've ever been to the VFW or even casinos, people, that is a very serious sport. They don't, and they
sport.
It is a sport. The way some of them jump around and run, and they get more exercise in that bingo parlor than they ever got at the gym. They get very excited, and what I'm amazed is how they've got it down to a science. Some folks can work like 10 cards at a time. You know, I got one card. I'm still looking for B3, and they got that highlighter, and they're just boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. That's a Catholic school thing.
Is it?
Up north.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, up north. Oh yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, it generated probably $100,000 in income. You know.
Was that what you did after the fish fry?
Yeah.
That's the thing too, right? On Friday nights, you have a fish fry. Sometimes at the Catholic churches, different parishes do that.
Well, what they do is, I mean, the bingo. You know, we had to do 15 hours of bingo, or we had to pay $500.
Whoa.
So.
Oh, I never. That's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, you got to do volunteer work for 15 hours, and that's per kid.
Wow.
And I had 2 kids going there, and then my daughter went to a different Catholic school across, in a different town actually, and she's actually in a different school right now that's non-denominational, but it's Christian, and it's an all-girls school.
Hmm.
And fortunately, she's a senior,
Mm-hmm.
and I won't have to pay for that. That ain't.
All right.
Then there'll be college.
Yeah, college just around the corner. I'm going to get a lot of
That is for
assistance.
Gabe, too.
I'm going to get a lot of assistance with Gabe's college, courtesy of the United States government, because he's bound and determined to go in the military. So, which I think is a good thing. I endorse that.
It is.
I just don't want him to, he wants to be a ground pounder, and I'm like, no, son,
No,
you're
go
either
in the
going to
Air
be,
Force.
you're either going to be the guy up on the hill in the tent with a snifter of brandy and a cigar, looking at maps, telling, people where to go and what to do, or you're going to be down there getting shot at. I go, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
So,
We used to call them lead sponges.
yeah.
And
Okay. Good. We'll get to the good word for the day later in the show, but we'll start the show out with today's good thought for the day.
Okay.
Ever wish you had made different choices when you were younger? Different path, different profession, maybe even a different outlook on life. Well, the good news, you'll never be younger than you are this very moment. So whatever it is, you would change if you could. Do it. Change it. And that's our good thought for the day. All right, guys, let us take a look at our daily chart. Get our bearings. Let's see, we'll have to use the soybean chart as we did yesterday. I'm running out of charts. Go to the daily. Go to the S&P. Okay. Bullish cross back on October the 18th. Price actually got above the BBC bull bear cross on October the 11th. Got a cross. You could argue 17, 18, doesn't matter. It's a daily chart. Up and away, putting in new all-time historic highs all along the way. And just very, very shallow pullbacks all the way. We did not even get as so much as a 24% retracement until right here. It was on this day in history, December the 3rd, that we actually pulled back to the 24% Fibonacci retracement. That's the shallowest fib, and the BBC. Double your pleasure, double your fun. We expect either one of those independently to be good support when approached from above. And when we have both of them there, then it's support times 2 or support 2.0. We held, we bounced. We did not put in a new all-time historic high. We got a high and we got a lower high. In the grand scheme of things, what does that tell us? Well, it tells us that if we're going to put in a new all-time historic high, from here, we have to take out this trend line, which will also, because this is just an area, it's so close. We take out the trend line, hold it on a pullback. That takes out the previous swing high that failed to be a new all-time historic high. And then we're nose to nose with the all-time historic high. And of course, from there the question becomes, will we make it or won't we? We did our extensions yesterday. Let me show you again how it's done so that you'll be able to do it on your own. Let's get rid of those for a moment so that I can see this. Okay, now with the extension tool, swing low. The most significant swing low on this chart to the most significant recent swing high, which also happens to be that all-time historic high. And then we just drag that little thing down to the retracement low. And based on math and nothing more than math, we see what it would look like if we got a 24% move, a measured move from this low to that high is 100%. If we cover that same distance point-wise, that takes us all the way up to about 3370. Okay. Now we've already accomplished from this low. There's our 24. Here's our 38. So that's really the only one that should be of on our radar, so to speak, at the moment. We take each obstacle as we approach it. Now, this can be considered an obstacle to higher prices. It can also be considered a target. Either way, that number, 3180, is a significant number. It is an important price. It is an important area. What happens here today will lead us into the next step of the journey. One of two things is going to happen. Price, let's see, the swing low today was 3133.50. And we can see that the BBC is currently at 3113. So there's 3113. I'm going to open this up a little bit. There we go. So you can see here. There we go. That's today's low. If we're not able to take out the trend line and these previous highs, then a pull back to that 3113 area would be a high probability move. We can draw a trend line from this low across those lows right up through there. Now we can say that we've broken that trend line. We've kissed the backside of it, so to speak. Where do we close today? Closing anywhere in this area, very important. If we break down, then we do expect the BBC to provide good support until it doesn't. Now that might sound like I'm trying to be funny, but I'm really not. As you can see, just getting close to it today. Again, the swing low was 31.16. I misquoted that earlier. Swing low of this candle was 31.16. BBC is sitting at 31.13. Now, if we get a close below the BBC, our obstacles on the way down, right there, and that is how, in fact, it plays out. Now, this is all the backdrop. This is the framework, if you will, to what we do intraday, to what you learn in the live training room. Put you on hold for one moment. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, that's a change, James. Dwayne earlier, he had his good thought for the day, and it's basically if you don't like what you're doing, well, it's no better time to change than now. But when I was in high school, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do in college. No, I knew it was going to be in finance, but I said I wanted to be a financial engineer, and I told that to the guidance counselor because I also wanted to do engineering, and he said, "I don't think there is such a thing." Darn it, if I didn't just become that. created software for finance. And that was my my goal when I was 16 and a senior in high school. I was 16 and a senior. My son's going to be 16 and a freshman. My parents really wanted me out of the house. Yeah, apparently.
All right, guys, that's the framework. Okay, now we're going to drill down into the smaller time frame. We're going to see what's going on inside of this daily candle. Everything that you see in a live training room where you're learning the core methodology, right on up to that daily chart that we just went over, markets being fractal in nature, you're going to see the same theory, the same narrative unfold inside of each daily candle. You've got 48 30-minute candles. Actually, the markets are closed for an hour, so you can do the math. Now, what do we have here? Price is currently sitting on top of last week's weekly trading zone at 3133/34. Again, this is why those of you who have not yet become partners or passport holders, if you jot down these zones, when I give them out to the entire CFRN audience on Thursdays, it can really be of benefit. Thursday night, Friday, Sunday night on the Globex Open, and up into the new week, because here we have last week's zone, 33/34, along with the BBC, serving as good support. We had a nice run up this morning, 8:30 candle, okay, that's Eastern. We sliced through this zone. Coming down, it was good support. When price can't get through support, it's going to go to resistance. When it can't get through the resistance, it's going to come back to support. It will continue to do that. In fact, even right in between here, there's resistance to support. Up to resistance, down to support. Up to resistance, you get the idea. Now, on this particular candle, okay, we reach the zone. We continue down. All right, John, I'll be there in just a second. We get below this zone. This next candle opens right at that zone, 33. We are below the BBC. That takes us down to the next support level at 3118/3119, which sends us back to resistance. It is on this candle that the narrative changes. Why? We close above the BBC, and then the very next candle we open above it, and as you can see, it pushed us up through the alert. First it pushed us up through the zone, then through the alert, and then it abruptly came to a halt right before getting to the zone overhead, which is the trade to target. Why? The yellow arrow tells the tale. Right there, when sellers showed how committed they were to their positions by creating this bearish cross. Now remember, these indicators don't move the market. It's the people behind the indicators, the traders, the buyers and the sellers in the marketplace. That's what causes it to happen. Don't let anybody ever fool you with that. All right. Now watch what happens. Once they show their commitment to the position, we get a leg to support, a retracement to resistance, a leg to support. Support sends us back up to resistance. We manage to get through it. We get through the zone. We trigger at our alert price, which you'll notice is also where bearish cross took place. We stop dead in our tracks right there where sellers initially made their commitment evident for this move. Okay, we'll pick up right here as soon as we're done talking with John. John, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us.
Hi there. Sorry about yesterday. I don't know where I got to because I accidentally got disconnected and I didn't realize it. I was kind of continuing to talk and then
oh my goodness,
it kind of dropped
we
out.
kept opening your mic and yeah, we opened the mic a couple times. We could hear you talking in the background.
Yeah,
Oh, you could, yeah?
we could just barely hear you. It was like you went across the room.
Actually, I thought you were on the phone with someone else, and so that's why we kept turning the mic back off, because I didn't want any private conversations to get out of the room.
Sure. Do you remember where I got to yesterday?
Honestly, John, I don't remember exactly, but we can certainly pick up wherever you'd like to today. I mean, we have new news to talk about today, that being the announcement, the carefully orchestrated announcement that came out this morning, right before the Wall Street Open, in hopes that it might tank the markets. And well, these markets don't look like they've been tanked to me. So Trump 1, Nancy 0. So,
yeah, it's kind of a sad day for America in a lot of ways, but
it really is.
As I said yesterday, we said this a few weeks ago. Remember I said that the impeachment might be reversed if they win all three branches of government in 2020. That could be something that could seriously happen. And then on this show on Sunday night, Levin, first words out of Dershowitz's mouth was he thinks this thing could be voided because they've got to have some kind of a governance or control mechanism or fail-safe mechanism to the framers never wanted to have a partisan type of impeachment. So if it's not a bipartisan deal, it should be voided. There's a pretty good chance it will be if no Republicans vote in favor. So and they can look. Remember in the 2016 election, Clinton raised about $2 billion, and it was sort of wall to wall, just attack ads all day long on Trump.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did it work? No.
No, it
backfired.
It did.
So they can do whatever they want all day long, and just one sec.
All right, guys. When price reaches a weekly trading zone, one of three things will happen. The least likely thing.
Yeah, they can pepper, the MP. They can, they're probably going to overdo it. Trying to say that he's impeached and all this, but it's not going to carry any weight if he gets acquitted anyway. So, and he may get a lot of sympathy. He may get a sympathy vote. So. I noticed, I haven't checked today, but as of yesterday, it was holding up 51%. And it looks like he might break out to the upside. The market, the ratings jumped from like 46 to 52 in one go. That's a huge jump. And the disapproval is been below 50% now for a week or two. That's unusual. I don't think that's happened before. So he could be on the point of breaking out to the upside and getting into the mid 50s, possibly even up towards 60%. If he gets up to 60%, that would be awesome. So a few things that are going on. If you remember what I was saying yesterday, the behavior. I guess yesterday there was such a ruckus in going on with this these hearings that the market kind of got a little bit of a jitters, and it just after rallying in the morning kind of sold off, and then it accelerated into the night, and then it reversed like magically again, to 3-4 a.m., something like that, and came right back up. And we're higher again going into the Tuesday. So, Tuesday so far so good, except you got to be a little bit careful, because what seems to be happening is we're getting these rallies and the market's tending to give some back, just like it is on your screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
However, with the USMCA potentially getting passed today, that could actually move the needle later this afternoon. We're counting down the days into the end of the year. We're pretty close to all-time highs. It looks like we could still have a pretty strong finish. It seems like the impeachment thing now is almost behind us. The market may just ignore it and continue higher. I noticed yesterday I sort of made a short list of possible things to short after, because Apple actually gave back about $4 yesterday. But FedEx and Facebook and some of these things kind of look like they wanted to go higher today, and in fact they have to an extent, but they're giving it back as well. So I wouldn't. I'd say the market could go either way here. It could have another test of the lows before going higher. But I would say if it goes anywhere near like 3142 or higher, it's probably going to go up and test the 3152 and so on for 3156. Now, there's some, I said a while back that the inflationary part of the market is definitely starting to pick up, and the grains have definitely been edging higher in the last week or so. They've got this report coming out, I guess, in a couple of days. That could. It looks like it might have a positive impact on the grains. If you remember what I said a few days ago, don't miss this last chance to buy platinum. Potentially, put a buy stop at 900, 905. We're up 25 points today, 24 last trade, 924. On any ordinary day, that should mean that gold is up about 12. It's not yet, but I have a feeling if gold can get out of this box that it's in right now, and if silver gets back over sort of 17, gold gets back over about 1480, 85, I think we're on our way. And there's been some articles in the last few days, people talking about
that's one of the most well-defined V bottoms I think I've ever seen right there.
Yeah.
That's a daily
People
chart.
have been talking about 2200, 22, well, exactly. And sometimes, moves like that can actually keep going. They could turn into a kind of accelerating uptrend, especially with the snow and all the weather going on, could be affecting those markets.
Sure.
Also, in spite of, I saw a tweet there a couple of days ago, in spite of all the angst with the farmers, and listen, farmers in tough business.
It is.
Apparently, the prices are actually better than they were in the last 4 or 5 years. So, since 2013, I think. So, it's not as bad as everybody's been making out, and they've been getting bailouts and all kinds of things. So, unless somebody's being left out of the bailout, I would say that and remember, I said before.
Here's soybeans, John, back to 2004. Looks like that's as far as my data goes.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I don't know, when you look at the price, you can sympathize with the farmers, but
well, absolutely. I mean, look at where, just back, we're talking, that's what year are we in here? 2011.
Maybe they got their dates wrong. Maybe it's sort of, when you take the wheat and the other stuff into account, it's really been going sideways for the last 4 years or so. Well, six years almost. So I would say that the one thing about beans is
this is a 50% off. This is a 50% off sale.
Yeah, look at what happened back in 2007 when beans took off. We could be ready for another big liftoff in the grains.
People still have to eat. There's more people to feed than ever before. And of course, soybeans, there's a lot of uses other than just unappealing appetizers. I'm not a big edamame guy, but some people love them.
We're kind of setting the stage for a mega rally next year. Already, remember I said about coffee? You might want to take a look at coffee.
Sure.
Coffee is, when coffee goes up this much in the fall, you can take a fairly good bet that the following year could be a huge year for coffee. We could be going back to $3 or so on that chart, up around 300, or maybe even higher. I think coffee is well and truly bottomed, and it's really starting to accelerate to the upside.
Now with coffee, I got data going all the way back to 1974.
Well, it's long overdue for a spike. It's had a lot of spikes in the past. It's a very inelastic market.
I mean, look at that. Speaking of spikes, look at that.
Yeah. I think this one could be the mother of all coffee moves, actually.
Really?
And cocoa is already up there. It's up around 2,600, which is pretty high for cocoa. Orange juice, a few weeks ago, we were looking at 90. Now it's at 98. I think with a bit of frost here and there, you might see a big surge in orange juice soon. And sugar, even sugar, which is a different kind of an animal today than it used to be because of all the sweeteners and everything. Even sugar is going higher. So
the only thing they use real sugar for anymore, I think, is moonshine.
Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is the exotic commodities are all going higher, and they tend to lead inflation. So that's a kind of a good sign. I mean, sugar looks pretty bullish, actually.
This is sugar on a monthly.
Yeah.
I remember.
I mean, look at how sugar went up in 2011 with the gold. So it kind of looks like it's ready for another big up move. And
I remember when I was a kid, John. I think it would have been the 60s, early 70s, but something happened and the price of sugar went absolutely through the roof. I mean, everybody was complaining about it, and there were all of these analogies being made about something being worth as much as a 5-pound bag of sugar. Price, and I don't remember what the prices were, and my data doesn't go back that far. Do you recall?
Yeah. Oh, in the 70s, sugar went through the roof. It was a huge move in sugar in the 70s. 74. But anyway,
go ahead.
So, I think we're set for a surprise upside in the metals fairly soon. I would even say that today's highs in the gold stocks are probably, if we get back up there, and get through them, there'd probably be a buy there. Palladium, platinum. Platinum, I think, is on its way now. It's really starting.
Palladium on the monthly.
New all-time high. Just crazy this market. And I think that's helping platinum finally today. So it could be, we could see actually a very fast move in platinum from here. This is a pretty strong move today.
That was palladium. Here's platinum.
Yeah. We've been in this choppy consolidation, but look at that very definitive move today, and it certainly projects back up towards 1,000. And I actually think this run's going to take it to 1050, maybe even 1100 or 1200. I think it's been down testing the bottoms. I mean, this last sell-off, which remember we said looked like a three-wave pullback. It's a kind of a complicated thing, but I think if we get up through that red line of yours, I think you can start to get more confident that platinum is finally on its way. That's going to be good for gold, because the higher platinum goes, it'll pull the gold up with it in due course. The dollar is actually a bit weaker today, and the euro is notably a bit higher. The pound, I think the pound 132. The elections in a couple of days could see a big. I think if Boris Johnson wins, which is almost inevitable now, the pound could run up to 135, possibly even 140. People are starting to think very undervalued. So the energy, with the IPO coming of Aramco, they're doing a reasonable job getting the crude higher, and I guess the weather is probably helping as well. So
here's crude on a 30-minute.
Yeah, now we're starting to take I'd say the market's probably a rebuy here, the way it's just suddenly turned upwards here after a bit of a pullback. And look at the crude. I think the crude looks good for look at that dip down this morning. That kind of spike there with a bit of a pullback. It's sort of potentially like a wound up spring, where you could actually, don't forget, nobody knows if they do pass the USMCA, it really could power the market right into the end of the year. So it actually could really, ignite this rally further.
Even Nancy is speaking highly of the USMCA agreement as though it were her brainchild. So.
I know, sickening, but it's just the way it is. I think it's going to be it's going to be a win-win for all the three countries, but it's probably going to improve the U.S. balance with maybe Canada and Mexico, and that could be very valuable to Trump going into the election, because it is a way of paying for the wall, in the end. So, by the way, Boeing, got beaten up here in the last few days.
Let's have a look.
I noticed that it hasn't gone down very much on very bad news. There were some terrible news came out the last few days. Not a very good structure, actually. So
what news in particular?
Some whistleblower basically said that they should have shut down the. They were trying,
inside of Boeing. Someone from inside of Boeing. Okay.
Yeah, remember probably a year ago we were lauding Boeing because they were producing so many planes, staggering pace really when you think about it. They might have just gone a bit too far, just trying to push too much product out too quickly, and that's what this guy was basically going on about.
Wow. So, Ed Pearson, former Boeing executive, says his warnings were ignored.
Yeah. And he only wanted to shut the plant down for a few weeks just to make sure that everybody was, that they straightened out the problems. And, he said that people were working to exhaustion, and that's possible. But, when it comes to planes,
tired, making mistakes, yeah.
Always possible, So.
Now, when you're dealing with
to accelerate here now.
When you're dealing with a publicly traded company, it's one thing to be the CEO of a publicly traded company. It's another thing to own your own business, okay? Now, when you own your own business, you are tempted to make sometimes decisions that maybe you shouldn't make because, it's your baby and you got everything riding on it. You've pulled out all the stops, so to speak, and everybody's watching. But with a publicly traded companies, they're structured that way for a number of reasons, but one of those should be to avoid this very kind of thing right here. Because if whoever had the power to stand up and go, hey, we better listen to this Ed Pearson, we better look into this. Is Boeing going to go out of business? No. Is anybody going to lose their job? No, but more importantly, no one loses their life and no one loses face, as when you're running a sole proprietorship type business where, there's nobody to make payroll on Friday but you and the grace of God. It's just a whole different story. What a tragedy that this had to happen. Who didn't listen? Who didn't act? What was their motivation? Because the share price might, tank for a couple days. If they find out that we're investigating something, we might. What was share price when in 2018 for Boeing? I mean, let's see, Boeing daily. Let's go back to 2018.
It was right up there for going 440 or so.
Okay. Let me just go monthly. So on the monthly chart, 2018, we got a high. Come on. I should just use the little go-to feature down there. It's a little simpler. All right, 2018. Here we are. That outside candle there. That's interesting. Okay. All right. So in 2018, and when was it in 2018? June. Okay. So we're going to look at June 2018. Right here. Okay. This is the month that the man said, "Hey, we need to look into this." Stock's trading right about where it is right now, $350. So, shame on whoever didn't look into this. All right, let's move on. What do you want to go to?
Why don't you take a look at Newmont, NEM?
All right. There we go. You want a daily?
Yeah, it's getting ready. It's kind of leading the gold stocks higher, and the way it's been acting. And they come out with $1 billion buyback. Listen, I got to take this. Okay.
All right, John.
All the best. Bye.
Bye. All right, let's pick up where we left off. I'm going to put these back on so I can show you exactly what we're waiting for. Right here. We talked about this just a bit ago. Talked about it this morning in the live training room for a moment. Michael was on break. We were watching this. We discussed why price ceased its rally shy of the number. Now, that's last week's weekly trading zone. However, an important price and an important area remain so forever. Okay, I know that's a long time, and we won't get into how long is forever. We won't worry our pretty heads about that. Let's just look at what is important. Last night on the S&P, all of our traders received the alert 3135, the immediate target below. Now, this is last week's zone. So from 3135, we had more than 10 points to drop before we got to the next weekly zone. I realize it seems almost silly that I don't just throw out the weekly trading zones all week long on the show, but I can't, out of respect for those who made a decision to become a partner, to become a passport holder. I'm not doing it to be mean-spirited to somebody. Oh, you didn't pay, so you can't. No, I gladly give it to you on Thursday. But, I mean, that's a judgment call, because there are people that made sacrifices that, saved up their money and did whatever it was they needed to do so that they could, so I have to respect that. It's not because I want to punish somebody because they don't become a part. I don't want I don't want anybody to think that. But then again, you know, what you think of me, that's really none of my business. That's your business. So anyway, we know why we ran out of steam. This move, we know why I ran out of steam. Okay. Now, on this move here, that really started this whole little cycle, okay, when we came down through 35, we had a drop of 8 points, I guess it is. We had an 8-point drop. If you're looking at last week's zones, if you have those, maybe not on your chart. Now I'm talking to partners and passport holders here. As I'm always encouraging those who aren't to jot down the numbers, you know, to help them out for a few days going into the new week. But I speak now to those of you who have access to the new zones each week at 6:15 a.m. Monday morning. I don't want you to clutter your chart up with too many lines because that's confusing and distracting. But keep a notepad, something handy, okay? Because when price comes sailing down through a current weekly zone, like it's not even there, huh? And then pulls back up to it, and then drops. See, if you're looking at just this week's zones on your chart, there's not a zone explanation as to why price stopped right there. There's other explanations, but there's not a zone explanation based solely on this week's zone. So hopefully that helps you to understand why it's important. Now, as the week progresses, last week's zones will become less important. And the current zones, they're important the second they're published, but it increases as the week passes. Okay. So on this drop, 31.35 down to this week's zone, we just figured out that's about an 8-point move, $50 a point, $400 per contract traded. If you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, that's a $4,000 move. Make a note. In fact, make a contract with God. Dear Lord, I will never go live until I first become consistently profitable in the markets. And when I do go live, I'll only go live with one contract. And then as I add more contracts over the course of my trading career, I will only add one at a time, and I will only do it with profits I earned in the market. If you'll make that promise to yourself, and if you want to include the big guy, go right ahead. But if you'll make that promise to yourself and stick to it, whether you become a partner or passport holder or not, that will not only serve you well, I think it'll probably save your bacon at some point. Okay, so as we come back up through this trigger, we know that important prices in important areas are almost always tested. We trigger, we fly through a current weekly zone, pull back up to it, confirm a good resistance, continue the drop to last week, then we catch a bounce up to the BBC. We expect it to be good resistance until it isn't. This is what it looks like right there, bumping its head up against it. Buyers and sellers duking it out, right? Sellers win this round. Boom. We pull up. Same scenario. Okay. This time, buyers take the round. They take us back above the short trigger all the way up to the long trigger. Now the swing high of that candle, 3142 to the tick. Okay. I've explained to you for years that weekly trading zones are important prices, important areas, and we must give them their due respect for no other reason than that. It's also important to understand price behaves at the BBC in a similar fashion to the way it behaves at a weekly trading zone. It is an important price, it is an important area, and price itself must make a decision. The market must make a decision. Will it allow price to move higher based on order flow, or is it going to go lower? One of them is a fixed important price, important area. The other is dynamic, fluid, always on the move. A few moments ago, we took a look at the BBC on a daily chart, and it was at 3113. Right now, we can see that on this 30-minute chart, it's at 3134. Now, price marched right up to the trigger, and I like to use Mike Reed's prairie dog analogy here. This time, we didn't even, we'll get to that in a minute, we didn't poke our head up and look around. Price just walked right up to 3142 and said, nope, not this time. We pulled back, and this is what we expect, because remember, we sliced through this area. Only three things happen at a weekly trading zone. Consolidation, the most likely. Rejection, I'll show you some rejection when I spot it on the chart here. And then the third and least likely, but it happens, the slice, right here, when we slice through a zone. In this case, the zone failed to be the good resistance that we were expecting. So the question becomes, all right, will you be good support? Because if it's not willing to be one or the other, then you have a market that's not conducive to trading, and you need to go make a large sandwich or walk your dog and the neighbor's dog, take a vacation, do something, because you shouldn't be trading. Okay? When the market can't make a commitment, when price can't make a commitment, you have no business, I have no business being in there shadow boxing with ourselves. So we go to 42, can't get through it, come back to support. In this case, a WTZ and the BBC. Support sends us back to resistance. Resistance, the swing high on this one, 3142 again. That sends us back down to support. Okay. This candle opened here, moved slightly higher, dropped all the way down to 3137 and a quarter, and then it closed at 3140.75 on this candle. This is where the prairie dog stuck his head up, looked around, didn't like what he saw, ducked back underground. Okay, that's a Mike Reed analogy. And by the way, I'm sure everyone knows by now, but those who don't know, my good friend and good friend of CFRN for many years, Mike Reed, he passed, and we are still going to have an online memorial service. And so I spoke with the gentleman a couple weeks ago or so, who helped Mike write the book, Read the Greed, Take the Money. He was Mike's, he handled the typing and, you know, some of the things that Mike was unable to do himself. Great guy. But anyway, if you want to be, if you knew Mike, if you were perhaps one of his clients, and you want to participate in that online memorial service, just shoot us an email, support@cfrn.net, and just in the subject line, put Mike Reed. That way Valerie will see it. And the day that we do the service, you can grab the mic for a moment, and maybe you have a thought you want to share with his family, or maybe some memory you want to share with the audience. Perhaps you might even want to share something you learned. I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't share with you, this radio audience, something that I learned from Mike. Okay? All right. Now, we've not made the trip back. Okay, there's 3142. Right, when we get turned away at 42, right, we already talked about this drop. So now we got to talk about this drop. Okay, swing low there was 31.25 half. So you knew you were going to get this week's zone out of me one way or the other, right? Okay, cat's out of the bag. This one, we slice, pull up to it, do the deal, just like we did the deal here, just like with the slice here. Okay, now this one, zone held, sent it all the way back up to 31.42, where it stopped because of the commitment made here by sellers yesterday. Now we're in between the BBC and the trigger overhead. Beautiful opportunity on the short side. Once, twice. Now, right here, okay, on this pullback to short, 31.35. Now, got to keep in mind that current members are looking at this a little bit differently than you are, because they have the benefit of this week's zones and last week's zones. Shorting into the, right here, as price is about to hit the BBC, what do we expect? Right. Expect it to hold and for price to bounce. So we're not going to short here. But over here is a completely different story. Okay, the BBC's overhead. So free falling, right? Great song. Just free falling right there. Not here. This is why I always want you to look at a chart before you trade an alert. Remember, this isn't just some trade calling service that we're running here. Our goal is to help you learn how to trade so that you don't need people like us. Okay? That's the goal. And that's never going to happen if you just blindly trade whatever we, put out as an alert. Well, I mean, you can do that. And you know what? It's kind of nice to be able to do that. Maybe you're trying to take a vacation, right? But you still need to make some money. Or maybe you're not feeling so well. Still got to pay the bills. Okay? But the goal, the point, the end game is that you learn enough so that you don't need us. Okay? All right, let's run through the rest of these. No reason to tarry. All right, on the Dow last night. I gave you a chance for a screenshot, I think, but if you didn't get it, let's get it. I got them out late last night. Is that true? It's a true story. The Telegram app reads the clock on your computer, so it's always going to show whatever time zone you're in. If you're East Coast, you got it. 8 months out of the year, I'm on Pacific time, and 4 months out of the year, I'm on Mountain Standard. Okay, got your screenshot? Okay. All right, so on the Dow, consider being short 27875. $27875. Okay. Now, just go ahead and write it down. 27875. Okay. Trade to target 27765. So from 875 to 775, that's 100 points plus another 10 points. There's a 110 point move at $5 per point, $550 per contract traded. Again, we see last week's zone stepping in, doing its duty, providing good support, which sends price back above the trigger. Now, while this was a profitable trade, this is why I want you to look at a chart before you place the trade. Yeah, you got lucky on this one perhaps, but we don't, it's not that we don't believe in luck, we don't want to rely on luck. We don't, and don't deny that luck is a thing, because it is. We've all been lucky at some point in our life in some kind of way, but it's not a good trading strategy. Okay. So here, clear sailing on this trigger because the dynamic of the market has shifted. I don't want to short into support. So we make another run up. We come back to the BBC again. The BBC is now on top of the trigger, okay? But price is falling to it and doing exactly what we anticipate, and that's be good support. So what does support do? It sends it back up to resistance, which sends it back down to support, which sends it back up to resistance. Over and over and over, again and again and again, day after day after day. Zone to zone to zone. Okay? All right, that takes care of the Dow. Let's do the Russell. Okay. Last night on the Russell, consider being short 1625. And that's going to be right here. Okay. 1625. Go. From 1625, we dropped to a swing low. 1621.70. Let's just call that. Let's round it up to 22. So that's a 3-point move at $50 a point. It's $150 per contract traded. Excuse me. We do know that important prices, important areas are almost always tested. On this retracement, price got up to 1625.50. See the little pop-up high, 1625.50. Our trigger was 1625. So it's hard to see behind the step line, but we got 2 ticks above the trigger. 1 tick's all it takes to qualify. On our second trigger, we make it all the way down to the zone from last week. And that's supposed to be 1620/21 as I recall. Got in a hurry the other day. 2021. Okay. So from 1625 to 22, so we have a 3-point move, second trigger from 25 to 21. It's a 4-point move. 25, 21, 4-point move. We get back above the trigger. Now we're in for some two-sided action today on the Russell, because the Russell also said consider being long 1634. You call that action? It's movement. That's what it is. And also something else just caught my eye that I want to point out. Okay. Price gets to the trigger as we saw on the other markets. The swing high there was actually 34.40 and the trigger was 34, so it went 4 ticks above the trigger and beat a hasty retreat. This happened on the 8:30 candle. These are 30-minute candles, so that's 8:30 a.m. Eastern. When price can't get through there, what's it do? Comes back to support at the WTZ and the BBC. Do you notice how the same thing has happened with the S&P, the Dow, and with the Russell? That should get the wheels are turning up there. Going, wait a minute. Yeah, I know, right? You should book a mentoring session. We'll talk about it. Okay. So now what's going to happen? Well, high probability is we'll come back to the BBC. Price always reverts to the mean at some point in time and space. Price and the BBC will meet up. That will open the door for another long opportunity. Now, when I put this alert out, I knew that there was just a wee bit of space between the entry and the current weekly zone. So you're looking at last week's zone. This week's zone, there's a little bit more room to run. Okay. One more time, the importance of, for those of you who have the current zones, this is why I want you to hang on to last week's zones just as I do, so they can help you. We're only interested in things that clarify the issue. We don't want anything on our chart that confuses the issue. We want clarity. Simple is usually much clearer than complicated. Bottom channel, to the top, to the bottom, to the top, to the bottom. Then we dropped out, popped back in, back to the top. And here we sit, just awaiting that pullback. Okay, all right. NQ. Wow, who cleaned this chart up? That looks pretty nice. Okay. This was yesterday. Today, on the NQ, consider being along 83.89. 83. Okay, there's 89. Now, 83. Okay. This zone is very much akin to this week's zone. All right. So, what happened? We ran up. Prairie dog poked his head, looked around. Things did not look good. Back down. Back down to support of the zone. Okay. So we've made a couple runs at this. No magic. That's because there is no magic. There is no telling the future. There is no knowing what's going to happen next. That's fantasy. Reality is knowing what the next high probability move is. Couple that along with the proper framework, a little bit of patience and good old-fashioned discipline, and you have a trading strategy that you can take to market any day. On crude, last night's alert said, consider being long 59.10. Okay, 59.10. Swing high 59.40. So that's $300 per contract traded. $59.10 up to 40. That right there, $300 per contract traded. Once you earn the right to trade 10 contracts, if you even have that desire. Some people are just happy as could be trading 3 or 5 or whatever floats your boat. It's your business. You built it. I would hope that you would run it the best way possible, but what's best for you and what's best for somebody else could be very different. So you do what's right for you. You do what's in your best interest. Don't ever feel obligated to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. Oh, well, that guy over there, he's only been trading 6 months and he's already trading 5 contracts, and I've been at this however long and I'm still stuck on 1. No, you're not stuck on 1. You're on 1 for a reason. The reason being, you've not yet earned the right to trade 2. Or you simply have no desire to trade more than 1. One is acceptable, the other you want to change, okay? If you are where you are because you're just comfortable there, now I'm always going to nudge you, right? There's a couple guys in mentoring sessions. I talk to them. They've already got the setup down. They got that's not even an issue anymore. Our conversations revolve more around where they are currently with their trading business. They know about the cross, the bullish cross, the bearish cross. They know when price is above or below. They know what a WTZ is. They know the wait for the pullback, and then how to execute the trade and manage it and wait for the exit. All of that. So I have that conversation with lots and lots of people. But with other of our traders, I have very different conversations. As I will with you, should you ever have that desire. Okay? If you don't know how to become a partner or passport holder, you could always call Valerie. That's a great place to start the journey. 949-42 Emini, 949-423-6464. You can also email her support@cfrn.net. So the first trigger took us up 30 ticks, $10 a tick. Next trigger took us up 26 ticks. And we haven't got back below it again just yet. On the reverse side, crude, consider being short 58.75. Now this first drop, 58.75, dropped to 66. That's 9 ticks. That's $90 per contract traded. And then it turned right around and did this. So either you took a couple ticks profit, you moved to break even, or thank goodness you had a reasonable hard stop in because you didn't lose a lot. I'm sorry, did I say lose? I'm very much against the terms winning and losing when it comes to trading because I just don't I don't see it through that filter. Now, for people who do, I'm not getting down on anybody. I just have to constantly remind myself. This, I say it to you so that people don't think I'm just talking to myself. But it's really me reinforcing something that I know is very important to me psychologically. I'm not gambling. I'm not. Gee, methinks thou do protest too much. Now, again, what you think about me, it's not my business. I got too much on my plate already. That's your business. A preacher, go to any church on any given Sunday. You listen to the man speak. Now, you always hear people go, oh, we praying for our pastor. It seems like an awful lot of people praying for this fellow. Well, is something wrong? Did you hear his sermon last Sunday? Now, unless you're a consummate, polished, professional pulpiteer, like an Osteen, who I love very, very much, don't get me wrong, preachers, your average, ordinary, everyday preacher, if there was such a thing, they're all men of God. The average preacher is preaching from his life. He doesn't have speech writers, and he doesn't have someone to weave together, the tapestry of the word and all that. Nope. In fact, he probably wrote half the sermon while he was driving to church, and that's why he's got that big coffee stain on his tie. Because he also has a full-time job, and he's raising 3 kids. And he hasn't seen his wife in 2 weeks. Was it the mailman or the milkman? Oh, that was another time, another era. Okay, what do you want to do? Gold, let's do gold, then we'll do the good word for the day, then we can all go back to work. What do you say? Gold, last night, Concierge Trade Alert. Consider being long, 1468. Okay. 1468. And there it is. Okay, 1468. Up to the zone. So from 68 to 73, that's $500 per contract traded. Important prices, important areas. Almost always tested. So on this candle, we reached down, right back down to the trigger. Did we get below it? The swing low of that candle, 1470.1, and the trigger was 1468. So in answer to my own question, no, we did not. The low, no, see, I'm sorry, I misread that. I knew something wasn't right. You see there, the low is 1468. So it came right back to the trigger, to the tick. Now, the letter of the law says we need to get, because you got to define these things. Unless you just know how to flow with the rhythm of the market, which you will learn if you hang around. But before you can flow, you really got to have, something concrete so that you learn to flow. So the letter of the law says we need to get 1 tick below the trigger before we can call the next move the second trigger. So this came right back to the trigger, to the tick, and then ran right back up. In fact, it took out the previous swing high. Now, we're going to go to the good word for the day, but let's talk about this for just a minute. Okay, these are 30-minute candles. So when we initially triggered last night, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, took 11, 30-minute candles. Okay, with me? Then in one 30-minute candle, we not only dipped all the way back to the trigger, because see, that's equivalent of this whole move up, just dipping back to the trigger. But in that same 30-minute candle, we then ran the race all the way back and into the next 30-minute candle, took out those swing highs. What's my point? My point is, if you're trading at midnight or 1 a.m., you cannot expect the market to behave. You cannot expect the market to behave the way it does at 8:30 a.m., 9 a.m., 9:30. Why? Because of these guys. Buyers and sellers. Some of these people work around the clock. You might know one of them. Some of these orders that you see here on the buy side, or the ask, bid, or the offer, some of those are computers. There's a guy that once wrote the code, but he's long gone. And this machine's just sitting in a closet somewhere, just churning away. You know, playing the modern day version of Pong to get 1 or 2 ticks at a time. Right now, on the bid side, it's 349 contracts. The ask side is 451. Okay. I catch myself doing this at times. And by this, I mean having to remind myself that it's the Asian session, not Wall Street. Because we get impatient, right? We know we have to have patience and we have to have discipline to become consistently profitable traders. We also have to remember that, so that when we get antsy or anxious, man, I just want to put on a decent trade and then, go lay my head on my pillow, listen to a podcast, drift away. Okay, well, that's all good, but you can't do it unless this cooperates, and this can do nothing without these guys, right? Buyers and sellers. So, anytime you want, you can have a look-see down here. These are 30-minute candles. During this, here's a great example. When we triggered last night, the candle that triggered, there was 4,448 contracts traded during that 30-minute period of time. The candle we talked about that ran this entire race right here, back down and back up, all in one 30-minute candle. Look at how many contracts there were there. 29,000. 29,000 versus 4,000. See the difference? Okay. It's important. Hang on to it. Let's go to our good word for the day. And don't forget, our good thought for the day. I'll put it up for you in case you didn't catch it earlier. Okay. Good word for the day. If you have not taken our trial, if you've never taken our trial, you can only take a trial once every 6 months. It's 2 per lifetime. If you haven't done so and you would like to, go to our homepage, or no, just go straight to the landing page, as we call it in the biz. Go to a place where you can sign up. eminitrainingschool.com. eminitrainingschool.com. Need 3 things from you. Your name, so I don't have to call you, hey bud. Your email address, so that Valerie can send you the link and the password. And number 3, your phone number. Why do you need my phone number? Well, I'll tell you why. I won't make up some clever thing like some folks might, because I'm just not that clever. The reason I want a valid phone number is not so that I can harass you or spam you or sell it to somebody else for their marketing ventures. I just want to know that you're serious. If you're not truly interested in learning how to trade, I don't want to cheat somebody else out of an opportunity that really is. I mean, if you're horsing around the 45 minutes I spend with you in a mentoring session, that could be the one day that person was available and had the courage to step up to the bat and have the meeting, and he's trying to make it sound like life and death. Whatever. It is what it is, right? So that's why we ask for the phone number. We don't ever use it unless, I'm trying to think of an instance where we might use it. Unless you call and leave a message or send an email that says, call me, I guess we never do use it. Oh, cat's out of the bag. No. Actually, we have a way to verify it and see if it's a valid number and if you're serious or not. We hope you are, because we really want to help, right? But trading is not a spectator sport. You have to be willing to roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty, get busy. It looks simple, but those who've actually put their hand to the plow know it's anything but. Now, it's not easy, but it can be simple. And that's kind of what we do. We help you find simple, if you're looking for it. Yesterday, we talked about our divine security detail. Today, we're going to put a little skin on Jesus. John 14:12. Whoever believes in me will do the works that I have been doing. It's always good to read about what Jesus did when he walked among us, when he put on this earth suit, just like you and I. But when you see someone living the way he did, some people call it putting skin on Jesus. Instead of just being a historic figure, his lifestyle becomes a reality. He becomes not a historic figure, but an action figure. And isn't that what every little boy's looking for? Gandhi once said, if he could meet Christians who were like Christ, he'd probably become one. Unfortunately, the Christians he knew carried weapons and subjected him and his people to servitude. But it doesn't have to be that way. Jesus said, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father. Maybe you're wondering how we, and particularly me, but you probably say the same thing about yourself, how could I ever possibly do greater works than Jesus? How's that possible? Here's how. He was one man confined to one place, Whereas his redeemed family, that's all of us, his redeemed family is capable of multiplying his works throughout the world. There was one of him and a whole bunch of us. Think about it. Was that lonely? Did you ever think about Jesus in that way? Did he ever get lonely? I know we've all had the thought, the weird thoughts we have as kids. Hopefully, only as kids. Like, did he go to the bathroom? All that, stuff. If he ate too many beans, the musical fruit, did he toot? I mean, come on, right? But now we're grown and we don't think that way. Hallelujah, amen. He was one man, confined to one place. But today his redeemed family is capable of multiplying his works throughout the world. So this Jesus, this God in an earth suit, who was he? What was he actually like? Well, for starters, he was compassionate, not condemning. If you've ever been into a church, you know that sometimes there is condemnation where there should be forgiveness. Jesus was compassionate. Remember the woman who had been caught in the act of adultery? I mean, I can just see her now coming out to the well that day with her sheet wrapped around her, because the guys, the morality police had busted the door down and caught her in the act. So, can't you see it? And she's going, ooh, 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 because the sand's really hot and there's rocks. And then all of a sudden, here's Jesus, creator of the universe, just hanging out by the well. Ma'am, how you doing? And we know what she said. She's like, he spoke to me. Okay? Now, John 8:7. When the Pharisees said, hey, let's stone her. They didn't say, let's get stoned. No. This was a mean bunch. You didn't mess with these guys. Now remember, Jesus was just one guy. There's a lot of us today, safety in numbers. He was hanging out there on that cross all alone. And all alone. And he was alone before they hung him on the cross. Sure, he had followers, people who loved him, those who worshiped him. But he was still alone. Here's what Jesus said, the compassionate one. Here's what he said in John 8:7. Let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone. And I can hear it like I was there. Thump, 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 thump. One by one, all these stones dropped and hit the ground. Now, again, his words, let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone. Was that Jesus saying, hey, I'm God, let me throw out the first pitch? No, far from it. He was the compassionate one. Who was Jesus talking about when he said those famous words? Was he talking about the Pharisees? Or was he referring to the religious hierarchy? And you might say, is there a difference? No, and no. He actually was talking about himself. He what? Oh, hear me out. He was the only one there without sin. The only one. And he had no stones to throw. If you want to know what putting skin on Jesus really looks like, the Bible lists 9 fruits of the Spirit, Christ-like qualities that the Holy Spirit is trying right now, no matter how hard you resist, the Holy Spirit is trying to produce this in your life and mine right now. Grab a pen. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Galatians 5:22 through 23. That scripture tells us that if we allow the Holy Spirit in, there's the infilling, the indwelling. We won't go down that road today. But the Holy Spirit will produce, if allowed, in you, even me, good fruit. You ever bit into bad fruit? It's not good, right? And you never really know what kind of fruit a man has. You don't even know what kind of fruit you have until it gets squeezed. When you go to the store and you're picking out fruit, isn't that how you tell? Right? Maybe you sniff it, but you squeeze it first. I know it's everybody getting a kick out of that, right? But think about it, it's true. What else does it say? What else does that scripture say? After it says the Holy Spirit will produce in us the fruit of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, it goes on to say one last thing. There is no law against these things. Thunk, thunk, thunk. As all the stones drop. So, give me a high five. Go put some skin on Jesus. That was our good word for the day. I thank you so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell. Can somebody turn off that leaf blower? Good gracious, man. Just kidding. See you tomorrow.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.